And then it'll just select, hopefully. that's the hope and dream. Oh yeah, much better, much
Is that
better.
Okay.
Yeah, much better. Great. It's kind of to close it because, as you know, in photography, light it affects the meter, and so it's evaluating the light source in the back of you, and so it's saying there's too much light, so it's darkening it. So now that there's not enough light, now it's lightening it up a little bit more. Definitely will probably have to get some more high-tech equipment to get it like absolutely best exposures, but for now I think we're good. So let us begin. We have Gail Bokor here. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Kate, for having us on the we've seen through some of your work that I've seen on the websites and different websites that you're a watercolorist, but you're more experimental with your watercolors. So acrylic too. So I'm going to let her introduce yourself because you know your history better than I do. And, but we do appreciate you being here and sharing with us your beautiful art. And she's also going to do demo, so which is really cool. Yes, which is really cool.
But I only have 30 minutes.
Well, don't just do your thing, and I'm sure you'll be forgiven if you go over a few minutes or more to 45 or the whole hour. We're good. So we just say that just in general, just in case, you know.
Sure.
All right, take it away.
Okay, I had picked out a very arty outfit, but the weather didn't cooperate, so I'm all warmed up to be cold. Feel like we're in another state, not Florida. But anyway, it's I feel very humbled to be here. I see a lot of my friends and former students. I can't believe it. So I feel I'm amongst my friends. Several of you have asked, so I might as well bring it up. We have a rescue dog that is wonderful, but she loves squirrels. And in December, she saw a squirrel and she pulled me over, and I fell on my lawn right on a sprinkler, a water sprinkler, and I shattered my hip and my femur. So I had surgery. All of you, several of you who do this are asking, but I'm doing great. I'm walking. I got pain for some of the hard days, but mainly I'm doing very good. So I thank you for all you people that have inquired. I know a lot of you who are in this group, who I know personally, have been involved with Alcohol Inc. And Alcohol Inc. got me through. I had never played with it before, but I had some Ranger. I had a set of Ranger. I think someone had given me a gift of the Ranger 4 bottles. And I went through a real funk, and my son, I think my kids were worried, so they sent my son from California to check me out. Watch out for your kids. And he is an art director, and of course also an artist. And I showed him I was starting to do these alcoholics. He said, "Mom, let's play." So while he was there, I really got out of my funk, and I realized why I loved Alcohol Inks is I am primarily a watercolorist, and they react very much like watercolor. So I could sit there and watch what was happening when I put the alcohol on, and it made me forget my problems and not thinking about myself, and I worked on my paintings. So all of these here are done, and you can come up later and check them, are done with alcohol ink, but they're done on different surfaces. I do not use Yupo. I have nothing against Yupo, it's just not one that I care for. This one was done on a dry erase board. Wow. And this is what may get you. These were done, these three were done on freezer paper. And the freezer paper was glued to a piece of masonite. And that is my choice now. I love it. It's cheap. And I just love it. This one was done, and I brought a board. Once I got into it, I thought, gee, I have to do a little better with this. So I ordered these on Amazon. And,
Can everyone in the back can hear you?
okay, and,
Great.
oh, okay. And the last one was done on opaque plexiglass, which I ordered from Amazon. I think there were 6 sheets for $24. And so, but what I thought I'd talk about today was some of the surfaces that I work on that maybe are different from some that you have. For instance, with watercolor, I love working on paper, but I do not like putting glass or plexiglass over it and that. And my husband, who does my framing, here, my husband, can you all hear me? My husband, who does my framing, would be in the garage working on a piece, and I'd hear some expletives that I won't hear. And he would find a bug. He would get the whole thing framed, and the glass was on it, and I'd hear this expletive, and there was a bug in it, so he had to take it out. So I found a way. This was one, and you can come up and take a look. This was waxed. This is just a small one. This was done with tea, coffee, charcoal, or actually powdered charcoal and powdered graphite. But it would be the same as watercolor, and then it was waxed. So you might want to take a look at that. Wax is wonderful. But then I wanted to work a little bit bigger, and I like to work on a flat board. So I came up with this idea that I was going to paint on the board. Well, if you have a board that is just been gessoed, watercolor will bubble on it. And a lot of you who know me know I work with acrylic, but I love watercolor because it's transparent and it has certain qualities that acrylic does not. I love acrylic, which has properties that watercolor does not. So anyway, that didn't work. So I started applying. I brought these in so you can see them. I started applying Liquitex clear gesso to, and I work with those of you who have been in my class know I love polyacrylic. This is a spray can, but I usually will use it in liquid form. And this has polyacrylic in it. And I found that a mixture of those two allowed me to work with the watercolor. Now I can't hold this and do what I'm going to do. So hopefully I'll talk louder. Can you hear me? Okay. Now this was done, and I'm going to show you how I got this texture on here. But I want to show you, I've already got a tree that I'm working out. And hopefully, what's wonderful about this, working on a board, is I'm going to do, maybe I can even do it this way. You see how the color comes up? Because it's watercolor. It's water soluble, whereas acrylic is not. Acrylic is a water media.
What kind of board is that again?
This is masonite,
Okay.
and I've got a board here, and I'll show you somewhere under here. It's just masonite board, and they will cut it for you at Lowe's, Home Depot.
And it's gessoed?
It's gessoed, but it also has a combination of the clear gesso as well as polyacrylic. You also could use gesso and clear gesso together, and that would give you that same surface. But I like to do it transparent because I've already painted under it. So anyway, as you can see how the color's coming up? And it did not. So I will eventually do maybe a painting with leaves on it. And that I'm just going to put there for now, because this one I started. This is done the same way. I've done a little bit of negative painting in here, but this kind of shows you what you can do if you've got watercolor. Now, how I get this texture. Are any of you interested in how I get the texture?
Yes.
Okay, here's one that's textured. And I did a small board.
Test 1, 2.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Look at all these fun things I'm bringing out of the woodwork.
And I'm so nervous.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Don't be nervous. We're so excited to hear everything you have to say, and that's why we want to hear it. Get that? How's that? Test.
Testing,
Like on TV.
testing, 1, 2.
You're getting
louder.
it.
Okay. Are you getting it back there?
I'll go turn it up. I'm gonna stick this on your apron. It's just a
Pocket.
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 Oh,
I got a packet right now.
Lovely.
There we go.
all right, I'll go turn you out. Thank you.
Okay, now how I did this texture was what I'm going to show you now. But the beauty of it is this is watercolor, and this gives me an idea of maybe some shapes I want to work with. This I saw some figures in, so I thought I'll pull some figures out. But what I did, and I'll tell you the colors I am using.
So Gail, when you use the alcohol inks, do they dry permanently or are they movable after they dry? like
Well,
watercolor?
what I love about that is I let them dry and then I use a brush with alcohol and with a drop of the ink. So that way I can manipulate it. So, okay, now I have got, what is my favorite color? Let's
I know.
I'm gonna add mustard. Very loosely with this. Maybe a piece of blush design. That. And then I've got lizard crimson. I always like to start out with the primary colors, but I don't use just a plain yellow, a plain blue, and a plain. I don't just use. Can you hear me now? It's not coming through the speakers. Oh, I'll try to talk louder. Can you hear me? Okay, I'll shout. I tend to use a variation of the primary colors, like gold and alizarin crimson and a different blue. So, and I want this on very wet.
Gail,
Yes.
why do you have those pieces of wood behind the board?
Jim had done this for a class that I was having. I think you were in that class, great. And why did you put these on?
That's great.
So it wouldn't wobble.
Oh, that was it. So it wouldn't wobble. Okay.
So it wouldn't wobble.
Okay.
Okay.
And I've got this on pretty wet. And I'm going to put this on. There's two sides to tissue paper, shiny and matte. So I'm going to put it on. What side did you use? I used the matte side. The shiny side down? No, the matte side down because it absorbs the paint more. And then what I'm going to do is that. What did you say, Jen?
She was telling me she worships tissue paper.
Tissue paper is wonderful.
Because of you, Gail, because of you.
But then I've got a really nice painting. If this comes out, I have to let it dry. Maybe it will be dry by the time we are through in here. So I'm going to put it right there.
You have to use one or the other.
Well, I'm sorry, I thought this would pick up, but if you probably just set it on the table down next to her, that might work. I'll just
Okay,
take
if I
this one off. And you can't possibly hold it and give a demo, but see if you just put it there, maybe.
I will try and talk louder. Okay, now
I'm
I'm going to
moving.
do the same thing on this one that I started, and I'm going to do it with green. Am I doing that? And only because I want to get some more of the gold green in here. Putting it on very wet.
Yes.
No, it's something's like
What
that.
is it? I think
It's the experimental.
So water.
I don't know what's happening.
Okay, I'm gonna
You try.
yell. I'm gonna talk as loud as I can. When I had little kids at home, I was able to yell much better than I do now. Okay, now I'm going with the matte side down, and because I just would like a little more texture there. If it pulls the paint up, I would still have something to use. Okay, I'm going to show you a piece that I've done that's collage, that I want to collage. And I've taken some of, here's one of the watercolor sheets that I did that I can use to collage from.
Well, I'm about ready to give up.
I'm not sure why it's getting feedback up there.
It should be okay.
I was trying to stick it in there so that she could, maybe it's just me, like they said.
Is it just you?
It's me.
Every time she walks over there.
It's you.
You
got it.
No, it doesn't, this is where the receiver is, that's why.
Oh.
And so it doesn't want to be touched or set down.
What if we put it down with that side facing me? Would that work?
I could try. We're just gonna need to do this demo, so just, watch.
It's a learning
I'm
situation.
doing the best I can, but it's not wanting to let me set it down anywhere.
Yeah.
That might pick something up and it might just start screaming.
Okay, well, I wondered if you said it's catchy noise in the back, if you flipped it around, would that work?
Can't really. What do you mean? Like that?
No.
No, let's
The
just
other
turn
It
it
just
off.
doesn't want me to let it set it
I'm
down.
moving it
Let's
so they
just-
can see it
let's
from
just-
here a
yeah.
little bit better.
It's
Oh,
a
okay.
handheld,
Well,
it doesn't
I
like
will-
to be.
I will
Set down.
do-
Can one of us
hold everything else? Okay, now I'm gonna do this,
I brought it up.
collage, this piece.
No, the
Said they
one
couldn't.
that goes
This
I'm
right
sorry,
here.
she's starting.
didn't work.
I'm gonna collage this piece on here. And I'll use my polyacrylic. So what is in there? Polyacrylic in a can. But it's made by Minwax and it's a water base. It's like polyurethane, but it's polyacrylic. And I think most of my students use it.
We do.
And I mainly, I this goes back many years and they have held up very well.
So in the pieces that you have set aside to dry, now, are those going to stay stuck to the board or? are you gonna
No,
lift
no,
them?
I'll pull it up so I have a piece to collage.
Okay.
Okay, now. Can you all see and hear back there?
They don't have one of those mirror things, do they? That they put up above for you.
Okay, I'm setting this down.
You know what I'm saying. For demos, you put it up above.
And what I'm gonna do to keep it as, is use a piece of, this is deli paper. And I'm putting the deli paper on so that I can spread it out. If I had my roller here, I'd probably use my roller. And I don't think I was there. I didn't. Now that it's down, see how nice and flat. Can you all see how flat that comes? You can come up afterwards and look at some of these.
Do it.
And then I'm going to cover it with polyacrylic. And we'll let that dry. One thing I learned after my surgery was to live in slow motion and to learn how to just have patience and let things like this dry. So we will let that dry. And of course, if you work in watercolor, you have to do that. Okay, I'm going to put this aside for now. Clean up my mess here. Do any of you have any questions on that surface to use it? How many of you work in watercolor? Okay. It gives you an opportunity to work in watercolor and not have to worry about putting it behind glass. Because what I do when this is all finished, I can wax it. But if it's a big piece, I don't want to really wax it. So I will spray it with this because, again, it's water soluble. So if I go and I brush a water-based product on it, it will cause it to run or it will bleed. So that's why I spray it first, so it's all set to go. Oh,
All right, bravo.
Thank you, ladies.
Okay, now this one, I'm gonna get ready for something else. How many of you have done raised stencils? Yes. Absolutely. And for raised stencils, and in my bio, I think it says something, I consider myself an experimental artist. So I'm like a scientist in a lab and trying different things. And that's how I discovered this paper. I mean, doing this alcohol ink on freezer paper, and how I discovered it. I brought the original piece. I was working on a piece of a small piece of metal with the alcohol inks, and I spilled some, and I thought, oh, it stayed. So I thought, I'm going to try it, and then the rest is history.
So you're using the shiny part of the piece of paper?
Yes, the shiny side, and then it's glued down on a piece of masonite.
What do you glue it down with?
Well, what my husband glues them for me.
Different kinds. I've used a Gorilla Glue, spray glue.
Gorilla glue?
a spray glue,
Gorilla
and then he rolls it up.
Gorilla spray glue on the masonite itself or on the back of the spray it, spray it, and then you just, how do you smooth it out?
She smooths it out either with a sprayer or
Yeah,
a hand.
and then it just rolls on nicely. And, okay, this is now.
Do you have to wait for the spray glue to dry?
I don't know. He does that for me. Do you have to wait for it to dry?
The spray glue to dry?
Yeah, it dries real quick.
It dries real
For
quick.
five, yeah, it does dry very quickly. Okay, this is, and I love this stuff. I love it. If I was younger and I wasn't going to be an artist, I would be a, what do they call it when you're a joint compound?
Wallboard.
Yeah.
Drywall.
Because I love this. I love what it does. Here is, can you all see this?
Show the camera, Gail.
Okay.
It
This
has
is,
texture on it.
it has texture from.
I have
a-
teacher's voice. I can translate.
Okay.
Okay. I can do it. I swear I can do it.
You could do.
I can translate and just send it out to the back of the list. Yeah? Yeah, would we let be okay?
Yeah.
All right. Here I am, you guys. Your ears.
If you need walls.
No, I was just gonna tell what you're saying
Oh,
so they
okay.
can
I
hear you.
thought
They
you were
really
saying-
having a hard
I
time
thought you were saying
hearing
you
that.
need walls.
No, I
Now, this I stole, well, two of these things. This is a omelet flipper. And I got one just for that purpose. And because I love to make omelets and it works great. And then I thought, what else would this work great for doing paint and moving paint around. So back to my kitchen, it never went. So I had to I ordered one more and then another one. So I have two for the studio, one for the kitchen. Another thing I sold for my kitchen, I got my flour, my sugar, a bunch of these, and I found an empty one. And I use this for the joint compound. You can buy light joint compound. When we first started working with it in class, we were using regular compound, which is very heavy. And if you want to do a large painting on this with this surface, it would be quite heavy. They now make it in a light joint compound. I used to buy it at Home Depot, and it's a container. It's very inexpensive. The container is about this big. What, about how many gallons, Jim? 5 gallons? Huge! And I would take it to class and share it with the students. And I still would have stuff left over, but it was so heavy. And then we were in Lowe's one day, and Jim was getting wood, and I see light joint compound, a small container, which was $10. So you get quite a bit for $10 with tax 11, but I keep small quantities in here, so I don't have to worry about it going. Oh, and I love this.
We forgot to tell you it was a cooking show. Did you guys catch it that it's a light compound that she's using now? So instead of the other one, so there is at Lowe's and you can find it a light
Light joint compound.
joint
Yes.
compound.
And it's over by the wood.
It's over by the wood section, and then she uses the spatula from the kitchen and also the container to keep it moist and to be able to use it.
These I get.
It's a light.
What's
Which
the
painting?
masonite?
What is the board?
It's masonite. It's
Masonite
not-
board.
I do it on
She puts that on top of it.
Correct.
And these I get from Dollar Tree, and these are wonderful. So I'm gonna start out with this one. And let me check. Here's a nice little.
What is she using now? What are you using there? She's
A
using
stencil.
different stencils.
I'm
They're
using
just
this
plastic.
stencil.
plastic regular, the
Stencils.
stencil.
You all have stencils, I'm sure. I put it on and I hold it down. And once I start it, it pretty much holds down. Once I start it, it pretty much holds down
by itself.
it by itself. And I put a lot on it first.
So you don't have to secure the stencil before you start. You're just gonna
Well,
do
you
it
have
with
to
your hand.
secure it before you start. But then.
But
when
just with
you-
your hand, you don't have to tape it or whatever.
Okay, now it's to the point where all the holes are covered. And I'm gonna start scraping it away.
So she covers everything first and then she scrapes it away the excess.
Now, this can be done on a regular painting using this. You normally would probably use like an art, either golden or Liquitex heavy modeling paste or heavy gel. But this is much less expensive. Okay, I'm going to show it to you the way it. Okay, now that's how it looks now.
Oh, do that again. Okay.
And this doesn't show as well. I'm going to do another one to show you. That maybe does not show quite as well until it dries, but once it dries. But I'll do this. This will show.
Can bring this board around.
No, okay, that would be.
You wanna use another?
Yeah, that would be good.
Can you guys see the texture?
Now, what I also like about this is you can sand it to get a very smooth finish, or you can drill it, you can scratch into it, you can carve it, and it stays hard. I mean, it stays hard while you're doing it.
Can you add color to it?
Yes, you can, yes. Before you put it on?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And you could use watercolor with it as well, because watercolor will turn into whatever product you mix with it. Like if you mix acrylic with it, it will turn into acrylic. So many times if I'm out of a color, I will use watercolor in that color, but just mix it with acrylic or mix it with gesso, whatever I'm using. Especially during the pandemic when it wasn't easy just to run out to Michael's.
Did you guys catch it on the watercolor? You can use the watercolor to tint basically any other product to make that. If you don't have it, you can mix with acrylics to make the color that you want. So you can tint the product with watercolors. Oh, that one you can really see.
This one you can see much, but it's got little circles on the top. So when this dries completely, I can sand it down so the tops are beautifully smooth. Now, as far as putting it on, as far as putting it on a flat sheet, this was something I had to paint. This was something I had a painting on, and I wanted just a plain board to show you how to put this on, how simple it is to do it without getting your hands messy. I've done it with my hands, but it's better to do it with a spatula. And I had my husband sand it down, and this I believe had some paint on, and I just wanted another board for today. So basically, what you would do.
She did sand it out the board before she started this new process she's doing now.
And you might want a rough surface to paint on.
So would you use the clear gesso first if you were starting from scratch on a new
I
board?
have done it on regular, that is a piece that has not been gessoed, the masonite, right? But I'll usually sand it or have Jim sand it for me, so there's some texture to it. But it does work without doing that.
You don't need to sand it, you can apply straight to the board and it should
Straight to
work.
the masonite board. But if you're using a small board, you might do something similar to this in the back, putting that on, so you won't make it.
So it stabilizes it.
If you're using a small board, you want to make sure that you put the two boards on the back of it so it doesn't warp. I guess it would warp if it was big too, so either one.
And anytime you have any questions on any of these, feel free to call me. I give you my card with my phone number.
Most important, feel free to call her. If you have any questions about today.
We will also have this on YouTube, live.
Not too many
it's
people call
recorded.
me since I've kind of gotten out of after the accident, except my close friends who came by. So I'm always glad to get a phone call.
She's available.
What does he glue the strips down on the back with?
I think he stamps them.
What does he glue the strips on the back with?
Gorilla glue.
Jim, Gorilla Glue.
Oh, Gorilla Glue.
And how does he get them
Is
off?
it Gorilla Glue? Oh, what is it?
Type
Type
on
bond?
glue.
Type
Type
bond
bond.
wood
Type
glue.
on glue.
Type on wood glue.
You have to clamp with them.
You have to clamp.
Does it come with you?
Yes, you have to clamp
Does it come with
The
that?
technique comes with Jim? Is it Jim, your husband?
Yeah.
Can we order Jim and Amazon?
It'll- you clamp- okay. You
I feel like it's a collaboration.
You would clamp the wood down with the type wood glue, and then it would take about an hour or so for it to cure.
I'd leave it for a day to make sure that.
It leaves it for a day
So it
though.
doesn't
Well,
have.
like curing is an important word because even with this, it will be dry probably by the time I leave today. This will be dry, but it will not be cured. So the longer you leave it, if overnight or maybe even 2 days, and then sand it, this will be as smooth as this is pretty smooth.
Make sure to let it cure, not just dry. So it will dry within an hour, but it would only cure after a day or two. So that will be the best way to sand it afterwards. That will be very smooth. So make sure to leave it to cure.
You are doing a great job.
I knew I had to come today for a reason.
You're always welcome to come.
Okay, and that will do it. Did I do 30 minutes? Case left.
No, you got time.
Oh.
I'm sure. We have a question.
Do you ever have a problem with the cure joint, late joint compound drying and then cracking? Does it ever crack?
No, the only time it is cracked, if I use it on, like I've tried using it on roofing paper, because I do wall hangings with roofing paper, and I'm doing that right now with a class. And I tried some of the stencils, and they do not crack. So it depends. If I put a whole layer on something very soft, it would definitely crack. And who knows, maybe it would create another surface depending on,
Something
you know, if you really think about it.
Where are you having classes, Gail?
At the RV,
Oh, are you still on Mondays?
Where's that?
it's a, well, no, it's a 4-week class. This one's
Okay.
on
Okay.
Where is it, the class?
The Art League.
the art.
The Daytona Art League is where she's having the class. On what days?
I'm having it on Monday, but it's only a 4-week class. And then I won't be doing anything till a couple of the gals are here from,
I think about a month later, you're starting another one.
well, not in the summer,
May.
probably not in May, probably September.
So you have to start it from the first class and then do the whole 4 weeks, so you can't come in mid-sentence. So she already
Because
started her
I
4-week
may
class.
do a workshop.
She may do a workshop.
It's Monday afternoons, right?
Yeah.
We like having her at the art.
We like having her here.
So I mean, I think that's all I got, but let me, clean this up and see
So
if.
now, will you texturize that while it's wet? Will you go back in with tools and make marks?
Yes, I could, but I would rather do the scratching when it's dry, because I go in and I scratch.
She'd rather do the scratching when it's dry.
So I can
Nice.
go in like that. Yeah. You could draw something very easily in here. But for my purposes, I just, and we're all different, you know, you would use this all differently.
Well, after it dries, you're gonna paint with acrylic or watercolor.
Probably acrylic, because it's very porous. If I were doing it with watercolor, I would put the gel, the clear gesso and the polyacrylic together.
Could you use alcohol ink on that?
No. No, if you have any questions about the alcohol ink, I would be glad to answer them, but you need a shiny, porous surface.
No alcohol ink over the
This would not work.
compound.
And I have, if you have questions about it, I will be glad to answer, because I now, after all I did during my recuperation, I almost felt like an expert, because I was doing this every day to forget about my problems with my surgery. So I tried everything. I tried it on canvas. I tried it with, what was it, glossy paint you got, Jim? And we glossy paint that we tried on the canvas.
Oh, I don't
Yeah, he painted some for me. And it did not work like I thought it would. And I liked the idea that doing its own thing first and then going back in after it dried. And I had like a little porcelain dish that I had the different colors in. And I would take my alcohol that I had a separate container and dip it in there and then use it to actually paint what I wanted. So, but it's got to be a very, very, very shiny, non-porous surface. And that's why when I discovered that's why when I discovered, that's not it. Well, I got it taped down. When I discovered the,
Shiny, non-porous surfaces are the best for alcohol ink. This wouldn't work for alcohol ink, and you guys can ask her more questions about alcohol ink. And that's when she found this material that is, what's the name?
freezer paper. Freezer paper.
Freezer paper.
I was so proud of these when I did these 3 in freezer paper. That, and they're all glued on. They're secure. They're covered. They're covered with acrylic, with polyacrylic. So they're, as far as I'm concerned, they're archival.
She used the freezer paper on this, and after that, she secures them to the board. She used the poly.
No, I secure the surface.
The surface with the poly acrylic. gonna learn all kinds of things today.
Yeah, you really are. Okay.
Question here. Is wax paper or parchment paper the same as freezer paper?
No.
Okay.
Piece of freezer paper, right?
Yeah, I have some down here.
I'll show you.
So I'm gonna,
Oh, it's done.
I thought I had the other, I do have,
I'll show
here,
you.
no, don't put the paint on it. Yeah, this is freezer paper. And it comes in a wide roll. And, it's very shiny. And I brought the original one when I discovered it.
I'll bring it to a second.
I was gonna show you something with bunches too.
Anybody with dirty fingers?
Oh, one of the things in Discovery, and, Tracy, was it you that had some of this?
Yes.
Okay, I had some of this in class, and I was using it for texture. We were having a class on texture, and I have to do this because this is the coolest thing.
Where did you find that?
So I'm probably going to open it. 30 minutes.
That's fine.
Anyway, this you can find in either in Michael's or in Hobby Lobby in their floral department. And it's for, I guess, using floral. And I got it because I thought, oh, that would be neat texture to glue on. I didn't realize I could use it like that. I gotta show you this because this is too cool.
She found this at Michael's or Hobby Lobby at the floral section. It looks like it's kind of a ribbon. And you can use it for the texture on the canvas, but you can also use it to apply this product on it and get that texture.
Well, it's like a stencil.
stencil. Like a stencil.
I could not believe it. I did one here and you'll see it is already been happened. And this was only because it was sitting there and I thought, let me try something. So that's how I make a lot of my discoveries. Some don't turn out too good. And others are like, aha, I did it.
It's not as reusable as the stencils, is it though?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
You can use it again. I'll show you. It comes with a little bit.
You can use it again like a stencil.
Yes, you can use it like a stencil. I had to use them. I hold this up. So Tracy, you've got to try this. You've got some.
Yeah, I have been using it.
Tracy was in my texture class.
Right.
And we were using this to glue it on and not realizing at the time that it would do, but that's what it looks like right now. It doesn't take much for me to get excited. Things like this. And this one was done and was artist hand.
Oh, this is cool. So this one is the same product, but this one she has already sanded, the one on the left.
Okay.
And this is what it looks like before the sanding. What's cool?
Yeah. And this I cannot sand because it is wet.
Are those sponge things sandpaper?
Yes, these are terrific.
Is that how they come? Or did you make it?
No, they come in
Oh,
spices. Where you get sandpaper.
Oh.
This one I think is fine. I think this is a little different. So anyway, basically, all you do. Can you all see this?
Okay, she's sanding right now. She's using sand blocks, sand sample blocks. You can pick those up at Lowe's and Home Depot as well. And of course, you all, if you do sanding, They all come in numbers. 120 is like fine, and then the lower the number, the coarser it is. So like if you get a 30, it's coarser than if you get a 120, which is finer on sandpaper.
And you just can get this.
And you recommended any sanding after skewered?
It depends. If you want to leave it with a lot of texture or you do marks in it, then you might want to leave it that way. But some of you asked if I could, how come that's not even covered? Huh. Anyway.
Oh, that's the other one.
Oh.
You use that one on your right there. Oh, no.
Further, right by his hand.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. Now, if I leave it like this, this is fine. I can use it again, but it's so inexpensive that, I would try a new one. But at home, I would use this. If I was doing a demo, I wouldn't want Flwaa, so I would probably use this. Okay, questions?
Gail, the ones that you have on display, are they coated with polyacrylic?
Yes.
You're able to without the paint.
But, another thing that I love about alcohol inks is that you could do tissue paper like this with alcohol inks. And then when you go to dry it, tear it up, and you want to do a collage, you can add the polyacrylic or your own, whatever you use, whatever medium you use for collage, which is water-based, and it doesn't touch the acrylic. So you can go over it with water. And this was collage. If you come up and look closely at this was done on freezer paper, alcohol ink, and then collage. And I believe
She said that this one was a collage. So if you come here later, you can see the texture. So she did it on the freezer paper, and then she did the alcohol ink, and then she used a collage of it. So it's not all done in one surface.
and this it's also alcohol ink and then collage paper after it. But it's collage paper that I made from alcohol ink
On tissue.
on tissue paper.
Collage paper made out of alcohol ink from tissue paper.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right. So are we good? Any more questions?
No, but I want to take a look at.
Can you teach him
Yeah.
where's
That's what we want. I'm thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
That's a start.
When you're collaging back onto the alcohol ink surface, which you've already painted onto, and you want to put collage on it, does the medium, the gel mediums or whatever you're using to as a adhesive, is it resisted? Are the acrylics resisted by the alcohol inks when you're collaging? No. In fact, I could pour water on that before I had sealed it. And water does nothing. Alcohol is.
Anything that you use to glue it together, or even water. So you can use water or water-based things or glue, and that won't touch the alcohol ink. It will stay as is.
Gail, do you have to use UV spray?
Well, I don't use UV spray because I'm using the. But if you were going to have a piece in sun, my husband's going right now. I went over my 30 minutes.
We're good. You were wonderful.
Yeah.
The demo, we love your technique. It's absolutely beautiful. And I'm sure all of you learned quite a bit, even though some of you might have taken her class before. But that's an encouragement to maybe take her class if you haven't. I might even experiment on a photographer, but I think this is really neat and fun to do. So thank you so
My
much.
husband's a photographer also. How would you experiment with photography? And that might be interesting.
Well, yeah, I could do layering, so I could create something, create an image, layer on top on the image after it's been printed, but I would print it on fiber paper, so then it would take up the tissue paper, or you could then.
If you printed on a very glossy
Oh,
paper,
that's
that would
true.
work even better.
So yeah,
Oh
so
my gosh,
experimenting in those two realms. So then what they do like digitally overlay, this would be like more of a manual handmade overlay. Because I sometimes put paint on my images just to give it a different depth to it. So those are ways you can
Wow.
play with
Wow,
photography
now
as a
there you
mixed
go.
media.
Those of you who are photographers.
Yeah. Like Kathleen Warren, she does caustic on top of her photography. So it's sort of in that same vein.
Right,
So
and then it becomes mixed media.
it becomes mixed media. Yeah. So photography using Mod Podge, you can do all sorts of things, and then using the tissues as well, and the alcohol use. So yeah, photography is not limited just to
Right.
the imagery itself.
Yeah, that's
But yeah, but now that he's got more experience with you, but this is absolutely awesome. We really appreciate you being here, and thank you all for bearing with our little audio faux pas. But I think we got it down for next time. With every meeting, we learn something new, so that's really what's most important, because this is what the meetings are for, right? To learn and to understand and to collaborate sometimes.
That means just, this is not ready to pull off, it's so wet. But you can see a little bit
Oh, yeah.
of what's happening in the paper. Just leave it on.
So we'll leave this here. You don't have to move your stuff right away. And we're gonna have our meeting unless you need to take off. Elizabeth.
No, we'll sit.
Some of you, I'm gonna give you just a quick 3-minute break just to look up over here, go to the restroom, and then we're gonna start a general meeting as soon as possible. I don't plan to go the whole hour in our general meeting. Yeah, you may, that's fine. So if you just wanna give it 3 minutes, just look at it, quick, and then we'll come back and.
I'll be scooting on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have hurry up and do this. So I hope everybody's doing well. 3 minutes, guys. Take your bathroom breaks. Get some water.